Hi, I'm Leslie and I am a life coach based here in Brisbane, Australia. And in today's video, I have a very special guest. His name is Mike Snow. He is a professional stunt performer who has worked internationally in a number of feature films, television shows, video games, and he has also been a grand finalist in a number of seasons of Australian Ninja Warrior and UK Ninja Warrior. He is currently in the middle of a 14-day quarantine in Sydney because he's just flown in from the UK, and he spoke to me about what it's been like to work in the TV and film industry during COVID. We actually go pretty far back, so we had a lot to talk about. Fitness, community, and how the little decisions that we make every day can have a massive impact on our lives. So stick around.
Hey, how you going?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm glad I'm only visible from here up because from here down it's a disaster of makeup stains and water spots and stuff. But we're just gonna keep that. We're just gonna keep that between us.
And everybody you just told.
Wow. Yeah, all five of you. Anyway, Mike Snow. Are you still just going by Smo?
It's mostly Aussies that call me Smo. Like my first stunt job in the UK, the stunt coordinator just kind of started calling me Snowy, and then all the other stunties and the director and everyone were just referring to me as Snowy. And then I just kind of got in the habit of introducing myself as Snowy in London. There's a few London stunties who call me Smo, but mostly Snowy on that side of the planet and Smo over here.
Snowy. That sounds too like cute and precious for the beast that I've come to know.
Yeah, right.
But I like it. I approve. You can tell all your people that I approve.
Sick.
So, what have you been doing lately?
I've been mostly doing fun stuff. I've been working on some video games, some feature films. Obviously there's like a big delay on a lot of feature films coming into cinemas. There's gigs I worked on a while ago and they're still not going to come out this year, some of them. So it's kind of all up in the air, and it's weird that I still can't talk about some of them, which is annoying. But like the last 2 years have been my best in the industry for sure, like doing stunts and stunt rigging. It's been sick. So even with COVID, film production companies have managed to work out protocols that still allow them to shoot and just get things done and minimize number of people on set and sort of break people into like zone A and zone B, and it's like once the actors are on set, all the zone B people clear out, and it's only like people who are essential like for creating that shot will actually be on there. Because if a lead or a director goes down because of COVID, then it can shut the whole production down. Sometimes even just having an extra test positive can turn into a 10-day shutdown on some productions. It varies and it depends on a lot of things, but there's been tons of productions that have shut down like just immediately when they've gone, well, this person's positive, and it's big trouble if it's someone important.
It feels like everything is just balanced on a knife's edge. I can only imagine what it's like being in that sort of an industry, dealing with this all the time. And it's funny because you sent me through your IMDb link and I was like, what is this? I was like, who is this person? This isn't the Mike Snow that I first met. Because to me, you're still 19.
Have we known each other 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What are your earliest memories of us?
Sunday parkour classes and running you through some instructor training, and then you running stuff yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, well, my earliest memory of you before I actually started parkour training was it was probably about a year after I moved to Melbourne. Well, after I moved to Australia, and I was bored. I was bored AF. I was in a horrible relationship. I needed something for myself. I needed something to get out of the house. I was also just languishing fitness wise.
Yeah, right.
So I started Googling stuff. I was like, okay, things to do in Melbourne. And one of the things that came up through my random searching was Melbourne parkour. I was like, what is this? What is this parkour nonsense? I've never heard of this. And then, yeah, I started looking at some stuff, and I saw the video that you did with Alex Yakimov and Chippa and Nippon, and I think it was Reese and some other people.
Yeah.
The Hiroshima meat explosion video.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is insane. and I just remember seeing the stuff you were doing, just the insane amount of upper body strength that you had to have to do that, but making it look so effortless. I was like, that's just incredible. So long story short, I had that conversation with myself about whether or not I should actually try. I said long story short, but that's a fucking lie. Yeah. So the story after that is that I posted, I don't know if you remember the APA forums. I posted a thing on there. The subject line was overweight and lacking upper body strength. And I wrote a thing about how I was a 28-year-old woman.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm losing weight, but I'm still overweight. I've got no upper body strength. I'm considering coming in for a first timers class, but would it be like crazy if I'm just terribly unfit? And you were the first person to reply.
Yeah, right.
And you said, you know, like, you'll do fine in a first timers class. Everyone comes in everyone develops at their own pace. The best way to get fit enough to do parkour is to just do it. And I tell you what, that singular post changed my life. I say changed my life because like, I was like, okay, you know what? I think I can do this. And then I did. And then I kept coming back. And then I met Tony. And then we got married. And then we had a baby.
You're welcome.
I should have. Thank you. Yeah, I should have. You know,
it's crazy when you think about the knock-on effects of like just little things like that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's wild. And I think about that because Nippon was in that video too. And I was like, this guy was at both of my weddings.
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen? But yeah, everything's just been so wonderful. So seeing all this stuff that you've been doing, even since then, it was like watching my little boy grow up. My little boy who's always been stronger and fitter physically than me. And look at you now, in a hotel room in Sydney.
Locked up.
Not able to escape.
Just in case I got the Rona. Especially that delightful new UK variant. Woo!
Oh my gosh. So you're in quarantine right now.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about why?
Yeah, I got a film and TV kind of thing coming up pretty soon in Sydney. So, yeah, just had to get out here and suck up the 14-day quarantine, and then I can go and do my thing on set. And then I'll duck back to Melbourne for a little bit, not as long as I'd like, but yeah, hopefully a couple of weeks, catch up with mum and see everybody, do some training and enjoy a bit of sunshine before I duck back to England. Like by that point, it should be about April, so it won't be horrendous. Like coming from London just now, I was going for cold swims, and it was like as low as 3 degrees on some days, but it was usually like about sort of 5 or 7 degree water. So yeah, it's crazy good for your body to do cold water stuff, and cold showers are sick. The shower here at this hotel does not get cold, so I was kind of hoping I'd be able to have some cold showers here, but yeah, that's not going to happen.
So you just flew in from the UK. You've been doing a lot of traveling for work even through the pandemic. What's that been like?
Yeah, so I had a 4-month job in Belfast, Ireland, on a movie, sort of running around, doing a few bits of action and some stunt rigging as well. And yeah, like at the start of it, we went in July, so basically end of UK summer, and it was still like fairly open and normal, like, you know, masks in shops, sort of dividers between tables at restaurants and stuff like that, but no real like limits on table size and stuff like that until about September. It became like 6 people per table, and then it sort of gradually like clamped down, and by November, towards the end of the job, things were like much stricter, because yeah, the case numbers in Ireland early on were just way lower than that of England, especially London. So yeah, London right now is in like pretty hardcore lockdown. They thought stage 4 was their strictest, and then they came up with stage 5, and they're still in stage 5. So it's like fully essential stuff only. So yeah, it just depends where you're going as to what kind of experience you're going to have with COVID. We started with like 2 COVID tests a week, and then that ramped up to 3 towards the end, when they were like, oh, like things are getting worse and we need to not get shut down. So yeah.
Have you been involved in any productions personally that had to get shut down because of positive cases?
Nah, luckily I haven't. I know the Batman with Robert Pattinson, they had like a 2-week shutdown from shooting, because the lead, Robert Pattinson, had it. So not everything stopped, but yeah, it pretty much all stopped for 2 weeks, and then they got going again. Yeah, word got around pretty quickly about that. Like the day it happened, yeah, someone was just like, well, we've just had a shutdown at Leavesden. Everyone get your masks on. You know, like don't break the rules or anything, because that could be us, like now or tomorrow. There's definitely been others that have totally shut down for days or weeks at a time.
So far you've been lucky.
Yeah.
So what's it like right now being in quarantine in Sydney, being separate from everything that's happening in the UK physically? Do you feel like you're in a different place?
Yeah, definitely. Like looking outside and seeing people just going about their business without masks on. Like I know they're usually wearing masks in shops, but yeah, it's pretty weird, because like a lot of these people are probably Uber drivers, but you're still like on the motorbike in London, going around, I'd see like people driving in cars by themselves with a mask on, and I'm like, that doesn't make much sense if you're not an Uber driver. Maybe they are, but like everyone's like pretty on it with wearing masks, because it's just like, yeah, the case numbers are just that high at the moment that the public health advice is just like, don't leave home unless you have to. If you do, wear a mask. So yeah, it does feel totally different, being out here.
It would be really interesting being as physically active as you are to then be like, oh, well, can't leave the room. You're still managing to find ways to keep it tight and swole, correct?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's not like drastically different what I'm doing in here to what I was doing at home anyway. Like, because the weather sucks at the moment in London. Pretty much just training on like the pull-up bar in my living room, which is like a freestanding one. And I've got like a climbing hangboard with all different type of finger pockets and slopers and like pinchy things. And so I've got like more variety of what to train my grip strength on and do pull-ups and all that there, plus like parallettes for handstands and all that kind of thing. But you know, like the bathroom door is structural enough for me to do pull-ups on. So I'm still like doing enough of the same stuff that it's not super different.
You'll just find any way to stay physically active.
Yeah, I'd go
Basically.
insane if I didn't.
Can you explain more about that? What would happen if you just weren't moving as much as you do?
Imagine, okay, so like my friend James, who has Tourette's, he says it's not like you can't control what you're saying. He says it's like your brain is itchy, and the only way to like scratch that itch is to just yell whatever your favorite obscenities are, or, you know, let those words out and stuff like that. It's almost the same kind of thing. It's like you just get kind of itchy, and training is scratching like the itch. Yeah, I can happily spend 6 hours playing video games. Like you probably think I'm a lot more active than I am. At the moment and lately,
You have to understand, I'm thinking in like normal human years when I say you're a very active person. So by comparison.
Yeah, but even so, like there are some people who, like some dudes probably spend 4 hours a day in the gym, and some of them might be like training that whole time. Some of them might be very social for that whole time. I try to go for like quality over quantity, you know, like I love a good, you know, 4-hour parkour session where we run from one spot to another, we drill and we do strength and conditioning, and, you know, save all like the socializing for the end, or just have like a whole day of casual training and exploring and, you know, banter the whole day. And if I'm training by myself, then I train for like maybe an hour and just kind of get it done, and then go back to just doing nothing. So, but I was listening to a really cool talk with Joe Rogan and another guy, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about a similar kind of quality over quantity approach to training. And I was listening to it and I'm like, yeah, dude, like that's been like my approach with a lot of stuff, especially strength, for ages. And he was giving Joe the example. He says to him, like, if the maximum number of pull-ups you can do is 10, and I like held a gun to your head and told you to do an 11th, and you couldn't do the 11th no matter what, like that was your limit. And he said you shouldn't do sets of 10 pull-ups. You should do sets of 5 pull-ups until it's just easy. And then once a set of 5 pull-ups is easy, now do 6. Keep doing that till it's easy. And I've kind of always said the same thing, you know, like when I was really into handstand push-ups, which I haven't been super into lately, but for a few years I was like mad about them. You know, at my peak, I'd like definitely be able to do 10 in a row and probably a couple extra ones, but I usually only did like sets of 3 or 5. And I just do that many of them that if a set of 3 or 5 is just a piece of cake, then you just know you can do 10. That sort of concept does apply to a lot of things. So I try to find what it's relevant and applicable to for me and run with that, rather than just going to exhaustion and burning myself out and being sore. So it's kind of like you have lighter days and heavier days, but no like total rest days, because active rest is the most effective rest for an athlete. You know, even if it's just like, say you've had a couple of heavy days, like don't have a total day off, have a light day where you just do like real baby versions of whatever you've been doing, and some stretching, maybe some swimming, a bit of cycling, a little bit of a run, just anything that just moves you around a bit and takes very little effort.
One thing that I am very curious about is, with your training and with the things that you want to get done, what is it that keeps you going?
It's fun. You know, like it keeps me involved in a community. or communities full of people that I love. So
Mm.
what else am I going to do? Like, like I said, I can easily put down 6 hours of video gaming in a day, but like that's cool downtime, but it's not like actually satisfying and fulfilling. Yeah, like training has just always been my favorite thing. And even if I'm doing things in my training that I don't particularly love, if they have the impact or the results that I need for like an overall goal or direction, then I'll just do it. Like I mentioned, a knee injury, like it wasn't a bad one, it was just like a frustrating, niggly one, bursitis. Like some of the physio and the rehab that you do for that kind of thing is not enjoyable. But if it's effective, then it's like, well, just do it. I don't tend to think so much about like inspiration. I sort of go more about like just make decisions that are good, and then reap the benefits.
Make decisions that are good and then reap the benefits. I like that. It's very simple and straightforward, you know? You mentioned before that being physical and being involved in movement helps connect you to communities of people you love.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little more about these communities?
Yeah. So I guess like the first one was just my group in gymnastics when I was a kid. I was in like some real low level basic ones when I started out. And then it was like when I moved into like level 3, I was put with a group of boys who we were like a pretty consistent group for the next 2 or 3 years. And so that was my first like group of people who I like really connected with. Like I had friends at school, but it was like, oh no, this is sick. This is where I want to be spending my time with. And, it's just the best. Like these guys are cool and what we're doing is awesome. So like, what more could you want? That was my first kind of taste of like a community where there's a shared passion and values. Not that I was really thinking about values when I was 8, but like it's there under the surface. Not 8, but like 10 to 15. Gymnastics led to breakdancing led to parkour, and then parkour is where I like really found my people. And then parkour is where I found stunts. And then so yeah, like parkour and stunts have been my main kind of worlds for like the last 10, 11 years. Now, how long have I been doing parkour? I've been doing parkour for 14 years in June, July this year.
Do you still train parkour?
Yeah, totally. I got a few mates in London who I try to run with, and then if you just go to South Bank, especially IMAX on a weekend, you're bound to run into people. When I was doing all the requirements for the British Stunt Register, like gymnastics, trampolining, rock climbing, high diving, and kickboxing and all that, parkour obviously took like a bit of a backseat because I was juggling those trainings and tests with also Ninja Warrior UK. So I had way too much on my plate to do much parkour. When I've not been working since getting my grading, then yeah, I've had much more time for parkour, and it's so relieving. It's like when it's been a few weeks because of work or whatever, and then you finally get out and start jumping again. It's just like, oh, this is the best. Like I still love it.
I have seen some of the Ninja Warrior clips that you've put online, and I remember watching a couple of your runs. And like some of the little movements kind of took me back to like parkour training sessions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, I remember when I was learning this little thing or that little thing. And I mean, obviously to a much more microscopic degree than what you were doing on the show. But I felt so connected to you. I was like,
yeah,
oh
you've
boy.
got like a movement vocabulary and an understanding, so you kind of you see things behind the movement that not everyone is going to be able to see or appreciate. So yeah, that's fair enough.
Can you just give me a brief outline of your Ninja Warrior appearances, experiences?
Yep. Seasons 4 and 5 of UK Ninja Warrior. They haven't renewed it, so there's probably not going to be any more of that, which is unfortunate. And seasons 1 to 4 of Australian Ninja Warrior. And yeah, it's been sick. I've only missed the grand final once in season 2 of Aussie Ninja Warrior. But yeah, otherwise I was really close. I missed it by like 3 seconds, which is a bugger. The only time I've been like pushed to my limit and like just burnt out is in Ninja Warrior UK. I've only like failed through exhaustion on that show. A lot of the stuff is like technically not super difficult if you can swing well on static and moving objects. You know, like static and moving objects have different dynamics for swinging. But with the moving obstacles, they're pretty much all the same in terms of the body mechanics you need to employ. It's just sort of different hand positions and things that you're catching and stuff like that. But if you can do one, you can pretty much do them all. The hardest thing is the fitness, the conditioning to just keep on doing stuff when you're burning and when you're struggling to breathe. I'm still always struggling for breath at the end of it.
You said that you had only been pushed to the brink of exhaustion during the time on UK Ninja Warrior. What did that feel like? What was going on in your mind?
Basically just like your forearms are on fire and your fingers just start peeling, and then either you can't make an adjustment because your other hand will slip when you try to like pop one hand back up, or they're just both going and there's nothing you can do about it. So you just have that kind of moment of like, no, and then you let go and then you're in the pool. Yeah. It's just real bad pain in your forearms generally.
Does it do anything to you mentally?
If you let it.
What about you personally?
Nah, it is frustrating, and like unless you win the whole show, then every single person in every single season is always going to be like, oh, I should have done this. They always have a realization where they sort of understand a tactic that would have been better or a technique or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty rare that people like finish a course who are like switched on with movement and physicality, where they splash out and they go, oh, I don't know what happened. Like, or I don't know what I should have done, or they can't immediately learn from it. You can pretty much always learn a lesson immediately in Ninja when you've splashed down. So yeah, how you respond to that and how much you beat yourself up over it is kind of up to you. I've seen people be like devastated over splashing out, like, and I mean, like, you look at them and you're like, oh, maybe don't talk to that person for a minute, just like let them cool down, because they are somewhere bad right now and they don't want to talk to anyone. And then there are other people who are like super good, super capable, and then they splash out. They probably would have won the show, and then they just laugh it off. And yeah, I don't know.
Where do you fall on that spectrum?
Towards the like laugh it off with just like a bit of like frustration. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we just get on with it and just be thankful that you were there and you got to have a go, because there's a lot of people who wish they had that chance and never will.
Yeah.
Or never have thus far. So
as far as you've gotten on the seasons, in which you participated, did you ever have any doubt you were going to get that far? Or did you go into going, oh man, I got this?
The second attitude is not a constructive one, so I don't go in like that. Like, complacency is the biggest killer. Like, you want to be confident in your abilities and then still just like a little bit scared, because that little bit of fear is just going to stop you from making dumb decisions. So yeah, you see it with all sorts of different sports. Like MMA is one of my favorite things in terms of people's attitudes and like the showmanship, and like seeing people just get demolished when they've gone in too confident, and like being really cocky, and like the sort of the weigh-ins and all the stuff that happens before the fight. I love seeing people get decked when they've just gone in too confident. Like, or the smack talk and then just getting KO'd, and then they just sort of look around like, I was like, yeah, buddy, you had that coming.
It's funny. Like, I love the way you explain that, because one of the things that, I mean, clearly you're speaking from like a physical training context and sporting and this and that, but even in coaching and in personal development, there is very much, go into everything like you're going to crush it, which is in some ways can be a good thing, but
it has its place.
I think what a lot of people tend to neglect when they kind of tout these messages is really looking at the things that have to be done to earn that level of confidence, and then to still have a very measured approach to certain tasks that require that level of confidence. It's not, people get too into this fake it till you make it thing, or I don't know, they try to succeed by intimidating other people, and it's like, no, you don't have to go in guns a-blazing into every situation.
Yeah, totally.
Like, if you've got the confidence because you've earned the confidence on some, task-based or even like a spiritual, emotional level, if you've done that sort of work, then you don't have to put it on display all the time.
No.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
What was your original motivation for doing Ninja Warrior?
Just watching bits of it from the American show online, and just looking at it and being like, that looks really cool. Like, I'd do that if it ever came to Australia, for sure. Like, wish I could have a go. And as soon as I heard that it was coming to Australia, I was just like, it was just obvious. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna apply for that. Like, didn't have to and ah about it. It was just like, yes, bang, put me in. Here's my application.
Yep.
So
yeah, I was not at all surprised. I was like, oh yeah, that sounds about right.
Like, everyone, or pretty much everyone, looks at stuff, and in the show it looks easier on TV than you think, and you don't often see how long the athletes rest for between obstacles on the obstacle courses that don't have like a strict time limit. There might be a 6-minute run that's cut into 3 minutes. They're pretty much always honest with the clock, because they often they might drop the clock out of frame for a bit and then kind of bring it back up at a point, so you know how long the athlete's been going for. They don't really change that. They'll just not show how long someone rested for. So it's still honest, but it's not good TV to see a 30-second rest. So
well, it's another really useful illustration of the fact that the things that we see on TV, online, this and that, things that from an outsider's perspective might look easy, there's so much more behind it all.
It's funny, like reality TV, there's a lot of not very real stuff in there, and there's and I'm not speaking just for Ninja, but there's a lot of reality shows where it's not scripted, but the producers and the directors will kind of like nudge people in a certain way to say certain things and stuff like that. So it is kind of funny how much of a lack of reality some reality TV shows have. But yeah, generally, like what you see is what you get. With Ninja, they just cut out, anything that's not interesting.
Much like so much of what life is presented to us through things like social media and everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, things take work, and rest is necessary. And that's not always the stuff that we get to see when we see other people succeeding or when we see other people just absolutely crushing something.
Yeah, it's not really that interesting for most people to talk about resting. Basically, just take all social media with a massive grain of salt and you'll be fine. Some people get like pretty wrapped up in it and it can be a bit misleading.
Yeah, people get stuck in this comparison trap. It's like, oh, well, why am I not doing this? Why is that person so much better at such and such than I am? And it's like, well, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
So just don't do it. So speaking kind of more broadly outside of the Ninja Warrior experience, with all the stunt work that you've done, with all the films and television and video games and things that you've worked on, what is one very important life lesson that you've learned through all of this?
I don't know. That's such a vague, broad question. One life lesson. Maybe I haven't learned anything, and that's why I haven't got an answer for me.
It's so funny because your answer doesn't really surprise me. I'm like, he's just chill. He just kind of does what feels good and what's fun. You're not going to be here like, if you just believe in yourself, you can do it, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I don't have like too many philosophical bangers to drop on people.
No. Okay, I'll change the question. Does anyone ever just come up to you and say, give me some words of motivation?
No. Like as soon as people talk to me about motivation and if they're struggling with it, I don't know, I just say like, dude, you don't need to worry about motivation. You need to worry about just action and decision. Like you might not feel like doing something, but if it's important, just decide to take steps towards it. Like not everything that's worth doing is fun, but I don't know, do you want to knock that goal on your head? All right, well, if you know what the steps are to getting there, then may as well crack on. Or you can just whinge about how you never got there later. Like, it's your choice. You just got to decide one way or the other.
Well, don't look now, Smo, but you just dropped some philosophical bombs on us.
Dang.
I know, it's so off-brand, isn't it? Because, yeah,
but I don't know. Like, I think that kind of stuff is,
decision.
Yeah, like it's as simple as you make it a lot of the time. In terms of getting where you want to be, particularly with training and health and fitness and stuff like that. And I don't know, depending on your work, like that to a degree is luck and right place, right time. You can't just always decide to suddenly just be at the top of a particular like niche or market or stuff like that. But
action and decisions, figuring out what it is you want, if you're going to prioritize it, and then doing the things you need to do to get the thing done.
Yeah, totally. Like when I'm dropping weight, I love food. I would rather just have insane amounts of food every day. But
I've watched you eat. I know that.
But if I want to drop weight, then it's like, okay, got to have smaller portions, got to do fasting, and like smash cold showers or cold swims, like just this combination of things that you just know are going to cause you to drop weight and just go, all right, as much as I love food, I'm just going to back off. I'm not going to drop fat and muscle if I, eat the way I'd like to. It's got to be a combination of, training hard and having some discipline in when I eat and what I eat. So, yeah.
That discipline part, I think, is
Yeah.
what so many people struggle with the most.
Yeah. And yeah, like I'm a bit weird for some things. I like to be very free and not get too heavy into like systems and numbers. And then there are other things where systems and numbers work for me. Like I'm not into counting calories. Like I don't know how many calories is in anything. Like if people will ask me like, oh, how many calories do you have? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know shit about that. All I know is like, if I'm going to lose weight, I just need to have a lot less than what is normal. And for me, that's really like simple and obvious. But then like for some training things, instead of doing things for a certain number of reps, I'd kind of rather just do some things for a time. Like instead of 20 burpees, 20 seconds worth of burpees or 30 seconds worth of burpees or whatever, and just, free up that sort of bit of mental space and just listen to an interval timer, and just kind of follow that. Like that's one of the main things I do for training at home is I just have an interval timer with a heap of different presets. Some of them are like 2 minutes on, 30 seconds off. And those 30 seconds off are actually like an exercise, and the 2 minutes on will be skipping. And then on all of the 30 seconds off where I do whatever calisthenic episode exercise, I'm not counting reps, I'm just doing it. So you just got to figure out what systems are worth it for you, and what ones aren't gonna, either you're not going to stick to because you just hate them, and you can do without them. And just kind of roll with that. So
figuring out what's going to work for you, figuring out what fits into your reality, into your context, is so important. And you're right. If you have systems that you hate, you're not going to stick to it.
Yeah, totally. I tried counting calories for like one day with this like really popular app for doing exactly that, for like keeping track of your fasting and your caloric intake versus output and all that kind of thing. And I remember like just looking up like an apple and then looking up like something else I ate that was a bit more obscure, and it's like, okay, well, it's easy to just punch in an apple, but then like, what do I write about this meal that I had from a restaurant? Like, I don't know, like I just looked at that and I was like, no. Like I gave up on that so quick. I was like, I don't need it. If I can do what I need to do anyway and avoid a system that irritates me, then as useful as that system might be for a lot of people, I'm going to avoid that system.
It's good to have that self-awareness, because there are a lot of people who might have something that they're trying to achieve, and then when they feel obligated to a system and it doesn't work for them, they can feel like they have failed, or they can feel like, oh, well, this was supposed to work and it doesn't, so nothing's going to work, so might as well just not even try.
I don't know, for some people like that's going to work really well, like those kind of apps and things, and it's going to help them keep accountable. Like some people use an app to track their fasting, and for me it's just like 8 p.m. no more eating, 4 p.m. I can eat again, like, or like that's a long fast. Otherwise generally I'd be doing like 16-8, so like dinner by 8 p.m. and have lunch, break my fast at like 12 p.m. But
I find sometimes with like using apps for tracking things like that can be really useful, but it can also be a slippery slope to distraction and to a lot of other things.
Just because it's on your phone.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I found that with some clients and things, there are a lot of different tools that are available online to accomplish such and such task. And it's like I have to be very careful with who I kind of match up with a particular resource, just because of the other potential dangers for it not working around that.
Yeah, totally. Just by being on your phone, you're just like a few buttons away from checking Instagram for the 100th time that day. And then you're just like, dude, what am I doing? Like, I'm meant to be training. And that's what I loved about like parkour back in the day, where we would chuck all of our stuff in a locker, you know, like chuck $20 in a zip pocket, so that without even going back to the locker and getting everything, you finish training, you go straight to a restaurant, no one's got phones on them, you have dinner with everyone who you just worked with, or just trained with for the last, 2 to 4 hours. Then you go and get all your stuff, and there's been no distractions along the way. Like that was, I miss that so much. I wish like more people wanted to train like that. Yeah, that was sick.
It makes me want to get back into training regularly again. I still train a little bit, but my hip bursitis limits me, so I need to work around it. And I will.
Yeah, you will.
I will. Yeah, Saturdays is the bigger training day here in Brisbane, so I'm gonna get onto that.
Wicked.
So how many more days do you have left of quarantine?
Well, I'm pretty bad at counting, and I just realized that I think today's actually day 5, and I thought it was day 6. So slightly longer than I woke up thinking, but yeah.
What are your strategies for getting through the rest of it without going insane?
Just start the day with some video games after a good sleep in. I'm not into getting up early. Like, you know how like Arnold Schwarzenegger and The Rock and dudes like that, they're all about waking up at 4:30, getting on it straight away. That's never been me. Yeah, I'm so not into going to bed early and then waking up early. It's just like fully unnatural to me. So yeah, I'm more of like a very like chill start to every day. And then it's like straight after this chat, I'm gonna do some training, because most days in here I've started training around 1 or 2 p.m. And then eating for the first time at 4 p.m. By which time I'm like hanging for food. So, and then like once I've had that, what do I watch? I watch The Boys on DVD. That's a sick series, but it's only 8 episodes, so that's done. It's like an anti-superhero kind of series for those who don't know, and it's very entertaining. So I've got that, Netflix, Disney Plus, got my Nintendo Switch. I've got no shortage of entertainment. So it's just a matter of just keep training every day. Yeah, like I was talking about before, like no days off, and just varying amounts of PlayStation. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, could be
Not
worse.
a bad life.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be like Old Boy at the end of it. Do you know that movie?
No.
It's about it's a Korean movie. It's a bit of a classic. It's very well known for like one fight scene in particular, which was like 3 minutes long and done in a single take. But basically he's locked in a hotel room for years with no explanation, no idea why he's there, and then he's just suddenly released. And yeah, he goes a little bit crazy, as you would being in a hotel room for that long. But yeah, anyway, I'm not going to do that. Watch Old Boy if you can handle like weird movies.
I can handle weird movies.
That's my suggestion of the day.
That's your words of wisdom. Words of wisdom from Uncle Smo.
Yeah, just watch weird movies.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having this little chat with me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'd love to pick your brain some more about some other life things at some stage. We'll figure all that out.
Do it.
And
Yeah.
good luck with your current projects and everything else that's coming to you.
Thank you.
And yeah, hope you don't get COVID.
Back at you.
Ever.
I really want to come up to Brisbane, but we'll have to see kind of what's happening timing wise. Yeah, it's already been too long, but hopefully I can, even if I just squeeze in a couple of days or something, depending on what the state restrictions are by the time I get around to it. We'll see, but hopefully see you soon.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be good. Well, we've got a new guest couch bed, sofa bed thing. So you're very welcome to stay with us.
Sick. Awesome, mate. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and share it with someone else who can benefit from it. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications bell so you know exactly when I've uploaded a new video. You can also book a free life coaching session with me through my website, leslievcoaching.com, and we can work together online or right here in my studio. Follow me on my socials to keep up with what I'm doing, and please get in touch with any questions, comments, or video ideas you may have. I'm Leslie V, and I'll see you in the next video.